Okay, I wanted to just focus in on a couple things that all of the instruments have in common. There are not a lot because all of these devices work differently, but there are some common things that are just live things that are kind of in the workflow that you'll find and would be interesting and I think will be useful to point out. So, first, all these instruments have an on-off button up here in the upper right corner. You can turn it on and off. If you turn it off, you're going to get no sound. If you turn it on, it'll be working. This isn't really going to come in useful to us until we work on racks, but it's useful to note that they all have an on-off button. We've already talked about saving and loading. There are a couple different ways to load a preset. You can do it just with this you can do it with this hot swap button here. If I just hit this hot swap, and then I go to my instruments, and see I'm on an analog, bass, and I just scroll through and hit return, it's going to load things, whatever I want, really fast. So that swap button is a handy way to just swap out what you're doing with something else. However, another way to load presets or your own saved sounds that can be really efficient is if you already have an instrument on there, you can take any preset and just drag it right on top of it. That's going to effectively just swap it out with the new sound. Okay, so now this only works if you're doing it with the same instrument, right? We have an analog instrument here. I'm dropping an analog preset onto it, and it's going to flip over to the new one. If I do it with a different instrument, it'll still work, but it's going to switch me over to the different instrument, right? So I'm going to Command Z to undo that. But you can just drag presets right on there, and we'll just switch right over to the new thing. Handy little trick. Another thing that all parameters will do in all synth, if you adjust something and want to take it back to the preset, click on it and press delete. That'll take you back to where you were. See, this volume is set to -1. If I change it and then say, oh, I want to go back to where it was, but I forgot where it was, just press delete key. That works on things that are bars like this, works on any parameter. If you changed it, just click on it once so that you see that it's in these little brackets. That means that's the last thing you've clicked on. And then press delete. That'll take it back to its default. And that's about it. The last thing I'll say, that as a very general rule, your signal flows from left to right. Now, like we saw in analog, that can be disrupted in a whole bunch of ways. So it's not true once you start messing with stuff. But if you approach each instrument with that idea in the back of your head, that we're gonna have our oscillators over here and our output over here, you're generally gonna find your way around fairly quick. So keep that in mind. That being said, let's dive in and look at each of our instruments and how to use them. Now, I should warn you, we're not going to go into every single button and dial in every single instrument. We are going to go into every single instrument, but we're going to focus on how to make some music with those instruments rather than every single button and dial. If you want to learn every single button and dial, please check out some sound design courses, especially perhaps my sound design courses. So let's start with collision.